Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss the literary term novel. So, first of all, I'll tell you the meaning of the word novel and its definition. The word novel has been derived from the Italian word novella, which means a little new thing. And the definition of novel is that it's a long narrative work of fiction with some realism. It is often in prose form and is published as a single book. Similar to a short story, it also has some key elements like representation of characters is there, dialogues, setting, plot, climax, conflict, and resolution. George Meredith defines it as a summary of actual life. We all know that literature reflects life, or literature is the mirror of society. So, this is what Meredith tries to convey, that a novel is a summary of actual life. It reflects life. Whatever happens in society or around us, it is reflected in a novel. Whereas Fielding called it a comic epic in prose. A novel presents a whole picture as compared to a short story, which displays only one aspect of life. Or, in other words, we can say it's a short story is just a slice of life, or it displays one side of the story. Whereas, as an extended narrative, the novel is distinguished from the short story and from the work of middle length called the novelette. Its magnitude permits a greater variety of characters, greater complication of plot or plots, because sometimes and most of the times, in fact, there are subplots also in a novel, an ampler development of milieu, and a more sustained and subtle exploration of characters than do the shorter. It also shows a vast panorama to its readers to see the story through an age in which it is presented. Like, for example, The Tale of Two Cities has been written during the times when France and England were going through a lot of changes. Similarly, a novel also presents a conflict and its resolution. For every writer, a novel is a strong tool to present the philosophical, historical, social, cultural, and moral perspectives. Now, let's discuss about the key elements of a novel. They are more or less similar to the elements of a short story. So, the first important key element of a novel is setting. This means the time when the story occurs and the place where it occurs, and it provides a background to the story of novel. Then next is plot. This is also a very important element of a novel. The plot is what happens in the story, or in other words, we can say that the events of the story and the sequence in which they are told constitute the plot of the novel. A good plot always produces conflict for the sake of excitement and to keep the reader involved, which leads to um, mm, uh, uh, complexities and then finally to a resolution. Now, conflict can be of different types, like it can be of a person against self or person against nature, that is forces of nature. It can be a conflict between two characters, that is person against person, and also of person against society. So there are different types of conflicts in different types of novels. The next important element is character. Characterization and character development is very important feature of a novel. As I have earlier told you that in short stories, flat or simple characters are introduced, and generally the story revolves around one single character. In novel, the characters are usually round or complex characters, and they develop and grow with the story. Another key element is point of view. Every writer has something to say when he sits down to write, and this something is his point of view, his philosophy of life, or to say his criticism of life. He interprets life according to his ability and expresses his point in his story or novel either through first person, second person, or third person. And this is the narrative method. It can be first person, it can be second person, and sometimes third person. Then comes the theme. This is a story's soul, a novel's soul, we can say. It's the abstract ingredient. Theme is the main idea or central insight, the focus point, in fact, into life that exists in the novel. It may occur as a moral, a lesson, a human value, some quality, or truth. It is like the foundation on which the structure of a novel takes shape with the help of characters in action against a setting. Then we have dialogue. This includes the language and dialogue through which we are able to understand the character of the protagonist. Dialogue should be natural and appropriate and dramatic and helps in understanding the character of an individual. Now, what are the uses of novel? Novel actually expresses the spirit of its age. They are expression of the spirit of its age. It reflects whatever happens in a particular age or at a particular time. Then it is interpretation of life. It interprets life. It describes life. It tells us about life. Another use of novel is that it provides pleasure. It entertains us. It helps us to escape from the stark realities of life sometime, because we know that it is fictional, and there are types of novels which help us to escape from the hardships of life, the hard realities of life. Then they are used for propaganda purpose, for reportage, agent of change in language and thought, and also helps in creating lifestyle. We are very much affected by what we read, and the impact of whatever we read, it influences our life and our lifestyle also. Then there are different types of novels. So here I am just giving you a classification of novel types, and it is based on differences in subject matter, emphasis, and artistic purpose. So the main types of novels are: number 1, sociological; number 2, historical type of novel based on historical events; then picaresque; next is gothic; then romance, romantic novels are there; psychological novels are there, which studies the psychology of the characters; then novel of manners are there; pastoral novels; then we have detective, mystery, or thriller novels, and western novels. So these are some main types of novels which I have mentioned. Now here I am giving you example of two novels which are also in your syllabus. Uh, First one is Animal Farm. It is a novel by George Orwell and was written in 1945 and published in England. It allegorizes the story of the communist revolution in Russia through the characters of pigs and satirizes its degradation into the same totalitarian regime. The next example I am giving you is of The Old Man and the Sea, written by Ernest Hemingway. This is also in your syllabus, and this novel presents the story of an old man who is too fragile, too weak to fish alone in the Gulf Stream near the Cuban capital of Havana. But however, he hooks a truly huge marlin which tests his mettle for almost 3 days. He worked hard for 3 days. He chased that fish for 3 days. Although he kills the marlin by the end, he gets success, but he loses it to sharks. His extreme fight and endurance win him accolades from the readers. So these are the two examples which are in your syllabus also, and I just want to tell you that you should read good novels because it will help you to know about our society, about because different type of novels gives you knowledge about different fields. Like there are political novels also, there are sociological novels, there are historical novels, as I've already told you. So you must develop a habit of reading novels, and it will improve your language also, and it will you will get pleasure also, and knowledge as well. So that's all for today. Thank you.